Good morning, guys. I've come across a few situations with different friends and consult clients debating selling their motorhome private party versus selling it to a dealership or consigning it. Today, I just wanted to talk about what my advice is to you if you are going to sell your vehicle private party, some things that you need to do to protect yourself, and then some things that you need to do to help make sure you're presenting your coach in the best possible manner. I'm going to just munch down the rest of this bowl from Three Natives. No sponsorships to this video. This is a restaurant down in Florida I recently found, and they're popping up chains all over. Three Natives acai bowls. If you get a chance to check them out, they're really good. So on point, guys. But let's talk about selling your motorhome to a private party. And I typically deal in the higher level motorhomes that are going to be, you know, $200,000 to $500,000 and up. So some of these points that I'm going to bring up will relate over to less dollar motorhomes as well. But the recent conversations I have had are more in regards to higher dollar motorhomes. When selling a motorhome, there is a lot of work that goes into it. Everybody wants to get as much money as possible for their motorhome, rightfully so. And then of course the buyers want to pay as little as possible. There's a few misconceptions that I want to set straight right out of the gate. The first big misconception that I see people doing is they will see that a motorhome similar to theirs is listed for a certain price, and they think automatically that that's what their motorhome is worth, like they can just go get a check for that amount of money for their motorhome. And that's definitely not how it works. Anybody can list any motorhome for any amount of money, and a lot of times people will put a motorhome out there for a really high price, and it will just sit on the market for a really long time, sometimes years and years. I like to say if a coach is going to sell, it's usually going to sell in like 30 to 90 days, as long as you have it priced right with the current market conditions. And if the coach doesn't sell in 90 days, there's either something wrong with the coach or something wrong with the price. It could be something wrong with the person that's trying to sell the coach. A lot of different variables that can throw off a sale, and everything has to align for this transaction to smoothly go through, and there's a lot of little things that can throw it off. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people making when they're selling their motorhome is it's not fully detailed. Even a lot of RV dealerships drop the ball with this. It is very expensive to keep coaches detailed, but when someone's buying something, they want to see it in optimal condition. So if something's filthy dirty, it just isn't telling the right story. And that's one of the reasons that I really like to do business with a motor coach store, because their detail department is on another level. And when we're presenting these coaches, we're presenting them in the best possible condition. Where I've been to other RV dealers where I'm trying to film a coach and my hands are getting greasy and dirty from opening bays. From a buyer's perspective, when something is dirty, it's a huge turnoff. And that's going to include, you know, smells, paint correction, polishing the different aluminum surfaces. There's a lot more than just cleaning it, deep cleaning in the interior, blowing everything out with an air compressor, having any carpet shampooed, deep cleaning all of the leather, all of the upholstery. All of that's very important. And then also too, making sure everything works. When someone's looking at a motorhome, you want to make sure that the coach has been PDI'd. Every button that they press should work. And one of my big pet peeves is when the owner says it just needs a hinge or it just needs a new switch. Well, if it just needed that, why didn't you already hire a technician to fix it? When owners start coming up with excuses of why stuff is broken and that it just needs a repair, automatically devaluing the coach big time. If it's not a big deal, just get it fixed, or that item's going to have to come off the price, and even more because it's the time of taking the coach or finding the repair person to fix that item. I think it's important to take out all of your personal items. I've met people that are living in a coach. It is possible to sell a coach while you're living in it, but it makes it very difficult having all of your belongings in the coach. Typically, you're going to be selling it for like a fire sale price. It's going to be really hard to sell your coach for top retail dollar if you're living in the coach. It's going to make the transaction harder because you're going to have to find a new place to live. And if you do sell the coach, you're going to be like unloading all of your stuff out of a U-Haul. I would recommend just getting like an apartment or a condo where folks can, open every cabinet and they're not going to see your belongings. If they open a drawer, they're not going to see your underwear and other personal items. Some of that stuff may throw a sale off. Another important part is just answering the phone. I was helping someone sell a coach several years ago. They had an older Prevost and it was a really hot coach and they got overwhelmed. They got like maybe 18 phone calls or something on the first day. They were overwhelmed and their strategy was like, let's just let it cool off for a few days and then we'll start calling people back in a few days. Worst strategy ever. You want to answer the phone. If someone wants to buy that coach, they may need it for a festival this weekend. Urgency and timeliness is very important. Anytime someone called, they had this RV in storage and someone wanted to see the coach, they would go set it up at an RV site. They would get it detailed. So they had their time of going and picking up the coach, taking it to an RV resort where I think it was like $65 a night for a night or two. Then you got to have the detailers come out, spend another few $100 just to get the coach washed. So it was probably about $500 a crack every time they were showing the coach. And then sometimes people would just like not even show up. They said they wanted to come see the coach and for whatever reason, it's raining today. We don't feel like coming and seeing it. And it was wearing that owner down. I think it's important that you have the coach staged where you don't have to move the coach. You have it clean. It's ideal if it's indoors so that it's not getting dirty so that you don't have to keep detailing it. And then you can show it regardless of if it's hot outside, if it's raining, and just, storing an RV indoors is always ideal. And if someone is coming to look at an RV and they see it indoors, it's definitely going to help the sales process. And you've got to be available. That's another thing too, is you have to play RV salesman. Sometimes people don't realize how many hours an RV salesman spends selling a coach because they may have to spend several hours with 10 different potential buyers before they actually spend that time with the real buyers. This may be like almost a full-time job depending on, how many calls you're getting and how hot of a coach it is, how high you have it priced. If you're not getting any calls, you probably have the coach priced too high. And another thing, RV dealers are going to hate me when I say this, but I would recommend calling a few RV dealers and saying, hey, how much cash will you give me for my coach? And then you have a good idea of what ACV is. That's actual cash value. Now, another very important part about selling a motorhome on your own is protecting your assets. This is a very high dollar transaction. If you were going to go buy a home or a condo for several $100,000, you would probably have an escrow company involved. There has to be some level of trust between the buyer and the seller. There may be an expense to that, but you're protecting both the buyer and the seller in a private party transaction. And keep in mind, from a buyer's aspect, there's very little recourse if you purchase a coach from a private party, whereas a dealership, they have a stick and brick location that you can go talk to someone, and a lot of times that really still doesn't mean a lot because a lot of the big box RV stores out there are known for giving real poor service. But you can at least leave a Google review one way or the other with an RV dealership, where if something goes south with a private party sale, that person can kind of disappear and they have no motivation to really make you happy. Where a dealership, they don't want you writing a really bad review. They may go above and beyond to try to make sure that you're taken care of. Now, one of the things that I always like to bring up to people that are selling their RVs is how valuable is your time. And most of the time, people that are in a position where they're able to afford these extremely expensive motorhomes, usually their time is very valuable. When you look at how much time it takes to schedule the detailers, schedule RV technicians, show the coach, field phone calls, your time may be better off focusing your time into your own business where you can generate more revenue. Like, I'll be honest, when I've sold motorhomes, I've actually hired, even though I have this YouTube channel and great access to all of you guys, there's no way I can put my phone number out there and try to handle all the calls, because I'd have all kinds of people calling in. So every time I've sold a coach, I've paid a premium to have someone sell that for me. I don't like doing the private party transaction myself. I'd rather consign it with a dealership where they handle getting it detailed, getting it PDI'd, showing the coach, and then I can focus my time on making these YouTube videos. And I feel like I get a better return on my investment of time making these YouTube videos and generating an income, rather than trying to play RV salesman and squeeze as much money as possible out of selling my RV. A lot of RVers out there are retired. There's a lot of A personalities out there that, you know, ran big companies and they have a lot of time on their hands. So sometimes it's a great hobby for someone to do, to kind of play RV salesman. You meet a lot of really cool people buying and selling these motorhomes. You also have to deal with the general public, so it is a double-edged sword. So just a quick recap: number one, have the coach clean. Number two, have everything in working condition. Number three, answer your phone. Number four, be ready to show the coach, have it cleaned, be able to take the time to accommodate buyers' needs. And number five, I would hire an escrow company to make sure they're facilitating the transaction. And one of the big benefits, depending on what state you live in, is sometimes there's no sales tax on a private party transaction. So where I lived in the state of Arizona, there was no sales tax, but license plates were extremely expensive. So you're gonna pay the state of Arizona one way or the other. Also too, when you're trading in a coach versus selling it, keep in mind a lot of times you will get that sales tax credit. If you're trading in towards something new, automatically there's another 7 or 8%, so call it 200 grand. That's like another $15,000 more in sales tax savings if you are gonna buy a new motorhome or buy a new vehicle. And sometimes dealerships will have easier access to financing, taking in trades. And that's another thing, is doing a private party sale. If you're able to take in trade-ins and put cash bid on trade-ins, you may have more potential buyers because people may need to trade something in for your motorhomes. Anyways, I hope that may have helped some of you. If any of you want to chat about your RV buying or selling experience, you can schedule a consult call on my website, rvingwithandrewsteele.com. I greatly appreciate all of you subscribing to the channel. We hope you're all having a great day.